Alrighty, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Obviously, by the last little title, everything is AI generated, and I've been experimenting with Photoshop's AI, the generative fill or whatever they call it. Anyway, um, last night I was watching YouTube upstairs, and something called Banana something or other is a script. So you have to run it through Photoshop, file script, and then run it. And it is truly amazing. It's actually much better than the generative fill that AI that Photoshop is using. It just takes a little bit of a learning curve to master it. But I saw the demonstration was amazing what it can do, and it is just so seamless. The results are ridiculous. You can't trust anything you see anymore, folks. That is so true. And yeah, it just really floored me because I was like, oh my God, that looks absolutely real. And I guess unless you're some sort of digital, I don't know, forensic scientist, and you know, check everything pixel by pixel, I don't think most people will be able to tell. And that's a really troublesome thought when it comes to like today's politics on the internet. You can make anybody look like they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, and and that'll just spread like wildfire, even though it's totally fake. Anyway, enough of that. Let's come back. Let me go ahead and remove this because I want to make sure that I have the next set of items that we were going to talk about. And just recently, I have about 17 on board right now. It bugs me that my Facebook has 9,000 subscribers or followers, and yet we only have 17 on board, even though I announce it every Saturday. I don't know where those other almost 9,000 folks are or what they are doing. Obviously, the only responses that I get are just from a handful. I've been actually posting a share from every one of the 5 daily videos that I upload, catching up through my backups. We're making progress. I have already reached more than 25% of my view hours that I require for monetization. We're at 360 something subscribers. I need 1,000 folks. So that's the only way we can get qualified for monetization again. So at least the channel can be self-sufficient. So we need to spread the word. Obviously, 99.9% of my membership in Facebook, they're probably not really watching or coming on board. So we need help. Okay. So again, I'm not really that anxious about it. I could live without it. It's fine, but I want to spread the word out to more people. As many as we can reach out to help, because this day and age, things are getting a little bit, well, there really isn't that many printers that we can continue to say refill or use whatever we wish to use on them. We have been blocked. And so all we can do is continue learning how to print, how to do the process, that sort of thing. And I think the part about refilling is going to start to diminish as we move on forward. But again, it's all about printing. It's all about creating beautiful images on gorgeous media that we are provided, fortunately, by these manufacturers. And we can create just gorgeous work. I have a frame here that I'm going to be using, and that's the Eiffel Tower, by the way. It's got a nice little 1/2-inch mat. And let me go up to the shop and I will bring back the print that we're going to mount. I'll be right back. All right, and lucky for me, and I think I did it correctly, and we're going to be doing some of that today. I'm increasing the border because some of these frames that we can get from Amazon at a very good price, by the way, have like a 1/2-inch, almost a 3/4 inch mat. Some of them do, some of them do not. It depends, which type or make that you buy, and probably they're all made overseas this day and age. So anyway, this is 3/4 inch, and I did sign it right underneath. So I think, hopefully, this 1/2-inch mat will not cover up my signature and the title that I put on here. So it has been sprayed with a low odor glossy finish. As you can see, it's not glossy. It's just a little tiny bit of sheen to it, but it did really enhance the look, especially since we don't really expect a paper such as this, which is uncoated, for inkjet printing. It's not made for that. It's made for you to paint on with acrylic paint. This is a Strathmore acrylic, and it is the, what is it? I say satin, but it's not. It's linen finish. So it does have kind of a canvas looking texture to it, which is wonderful, especially for this AI generated painting with a lot of impasto, as you can see there. I saw an example similar to this at a store, and they had gone over it with a brush with some sort of clear gel acrylic coating and put in brush strokes. Wherever there was a thick brushstroke, they would actually add, and it gave it that 3D look, which is really neat. So let me put this over here for now. Okay, so I got lots of questions this week about the sensor system for the Pro 1000. And of course, it works perfectly for the 1100 as well. And I had uploaded a videos. I am, reviving my channel and adding videos daily. One of them had to do with whether you can really trust the sensors. Okay. And I did that back when it was the 1.0 version. In other words, the original version, which I had this here the other day, right here. The old version had a board like this. Let me turn this light on. So it has the green LED lights, okay, 6 of them. So there's 6 on the left, 6 on the right. And you connect it. This will be the one on the left, and this connects. And this is going to be changed. No more screw connector. It's going to be a plug. So anyway, so what happens is the sensor happens to be the correct diameter. And this is really neat because it is the perfect diameter to fit against either the left side or the right side. This has sort of like a facet. It's actually like this. Okay, it's not flat. It's like this. So you got to choose either the left or the right, depending where you're going to be drilling the fill hole. If you really plan ahead like I did not, you do the left 6. Okay, you do them with a hole on the right side and the sensor on the left, because all of those cables are going to go to the board located on the left side. The 6 on the right, however, you put the sensor on the right because the cabling is going to go to the board that's located on the right side of your printer, the front panel. And so your fill hole will be on the left. I did them all on the left because that's what I'm used to doing. And besides, I already had the cartridge set already pre-drilled. So anyway, the sensor attaches, and go back. I also uploaded the whole series step by step of the sensor system, from the idea, coming up with an idea for this, and until the point where we actually physically tested them on printing and everything. So if you take a sensor and you put it right here, it's actually the same diameter as the height of this. So centering it is really not an issue. And you don't really have to be that accurate anyway. So you just hold the sensor, line up your fingers with the top and bottom thickness, and attach it. Double sticky tape attaches right there. So it is not too high, not too low. It's at the correct central axis, if you will. And so that cable then comes out and it attaches to one of these attachment plugs right here. Now, the way this operates then is, if you're, let's go back to an untampered system. You're using OEM. So you have, I got a pop-up here I want to remove. You have a situation where you have, say, start from 80 ml of ink, and your chip says full. This is going back to using regular chips on your OEM cartridges. So you're printing and levels start to drop. At some point, it reaches something like 20% from empty. You get the exclamation mark as a yellow exclamation mark. That means low warning. What does that really mean? So if you take out the cartridge at that point and you weigh it, it has like 20% ink. How do you know what that is? Empty is 32 grams, full is 112. So it comes down to something like 154-ish. Okay, so that's like almost 20 grams. So maybe 100 and it comes out to, I'm sorry, 52 grams. So subtract 32 from that, that's 20 ml. So that's how it works. And there's a very intricate way, actually quite simple, but actually intricate, of how the printer figures out actual physical volume of ink that has been utilized. Okay, it's not guessing like other printers do. Other printers are actually guessing how much ink is being utilized, and it's very difficult for them to determine how much ink was used in a cleaning cycle. Not so with the Epson Pro 1000 and up. Okay, it knows exactly how much. Now, I don't want to put you to sleep, so I'm not going to describe that unless you really want me to. So it reaches low warning and you continue to print. That means it knows it has like 20 ml of ink left, 22 ml of ink. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to know that perfectly. It continues printing, and at some point, the internal reservoir says, hey, I just used up my amount. I need to be refilled from the cartridge. So it fills it and say it doesn't quite fill it. Okay, so instead of having filled it to the top, it fills it, say, 3/4 of the way. The printer continues printing. It doesn't know anything yet. So at some point, it says, hey, I have gone past on my reservoir the normal point where you would begin to refill me. So something is a little bit odd. Continues printing. A couple of prints later, you reach the bottom of that reservoir, almost to the bottom. Yes, there are sensors inside those reservoirs, 3 of them. Okay. And so once it reaches that third sensor and there's no more ink to be replenishing that compartment, that reservoir, that's it. It sends a signal to the chip and it red X's it. So that is an empty chip at this point. That's how you know. And your cartridge that you take out is actually empty. And if you're crazy enough to throw those out, because they're worth about $5 each, even empty. So, if you throw it out, you're not really throwing out ink like you do with these. When you throw these Epson cartridges away, there's like 10 ml of expensive OEM ink still in them. If you were not, savvy enough to extract that 10 ml of ink, you're throwing away ink, and that's about 80 cents to $1 each ml, okay, each milliliter of ink. So that's a lot of money you're tossing. So how can you tell if you need to refill your cartridge? So you're printing, everything is green. This is the old system. Everything is green, and all of a sudden this light goes off and your sensor light was red. All the sensors were red light all across. You see them because your door is open. You see the sensors lit up, no problem. Keep on printing. And these are all green. Okay. At some point, one of the sensors goes off. And I don't remember exactly what happened with these, but one of these lights goes on. Then you know that that's the cartridge that needs to be topped off. Now, the new one, the 2.0, is a lot better. It has 2 rows of LEDs. One row is white, one row is green. So when everything is hunky-dory, perfectly fine, everything is green. When one of those green light goes off and then the corresponding matching white LED comes on, you know that cartridge number 8 needs to be topped off. Do you have to do it straight away? No, you don't. You're down to 20%. It's equivalent just the same way as if you were getting the yellow exclamation mark, which is the low warning. So either the sensor is on. If the sensor is on, you have ink. If the sensor is off and the matching light is white, no longer green, remember we're talking about V version 2.0, then you know that you have to top one off, that particular one off, whenever you can. Just do it soon. Don't forget about it. You get that annoying warning anyway every time you look at the printer. You know that you should be topping that one off. So that's what's cool about it. Some people think it's annoying. I think it's wonderful. I want to be annoyed. I want to be harassed by the printer saying, hey, you better fill me up. You do not want me to go empty here. Yeah, you don't. Okay, so can it fool you? Can it make a mistake? The only way that it can, and this is what I was trying to explain to someone, was the sensor light is on. The light on the corresponding panel for that particular channel would be green. Okay. Sensor light is red. That means it's on. I don't know why it's red. It should be maybe green. Um, and the corresponding light is green. That channel, channel number 8, is fine. But if the light is white, the sensor on my cartridge will be off. It's either off and on or on and off. Off means it's green, okay? So they both cannot be on. So if they are both on, in other words, the sensor says, hey, I'm on, but my white light is shining, something is off. And I have to get the sensor replaced, and Precision Colors will replace that sensor for you. I don't know whether you have to buy it because you used it for a year or two, you know. But anyway, it is a replaceable item. You just simply take the old sensor out, put the new one on, and plug it. Plug it to the corresponding plug number 7. This will be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If this was on the right side. That's it. So you just replace the sensor and you're good to go. Everything will be back to normal. So normally it cannot make a mistake. It cannot fool you into thinking you have to replace or top off that cartridge. It has to be on or off and on, not both of them on. What if they are both off? Then you need a sensor, okay? Typically you need a sensor. And again, thank goodness it is a replaceable item. It comes to you already wired with the attached plug. It's like a USB plug on it. So that's it. Now, does it help? Oh my gosh, yes. I couldn't live without it. Okay, I couldn't live without it. So if you own a Pro 1000 and you're using, even if you're using 700 ml cartridges to replenish your small 80 ml cartridges, at the point where you reach 20% from empty, you only need 60 ml of ink. Okay. If you let's go ahead and check how many refills can we get with 700 ml. And if you shop on eBay, I have found them, get this, as cheap as $90. Yeah, the Chrome Optimizer that I showed you last week, I paid $90 for that. Of course, it's going to be somewhere around 150, better than 300. So let's just divide. Put this over here for you to see. Let's go ahead and divide 700 and divide it into 60 by 60 just to see how many refills we can get. 11 and a half refills. So 11.6. Let's go ahead and say, for instance, it's $150. So divide by 11.6. It costs you $1.20. No, that cannot be. That cannot be. Hang on. So $150 divided by, what did we say? 11.6 refills. Okay, $12.93. Let's call it $13. So it costs you $13 per refill, and you're using OEM ink. Isn't that good? I think that's awesome. So the only problem is the initial expense of buying the larger, but just constantly shop on eBay. They're all over the place. And pretty soon they'll be all over the place, the ones for the Pro 1100 as well. And the cartridges, they have to be drilled out exactly the same way. There's no difference. The chip disabling is exactly the same process. And so you will end up with the ability to refill your Pro 1000 or the 1100 with OEM ink. Now, if you just want to use probably the best inks out there available, PrecisionColors.com is your provider. If you just want to use, I think you pay something like $15 for 82 ml. Well, you just saw what it cost you. So, you have to really think hard which avenue you should take. Of course, you have to spend at least $150 per 700 ml cartridge if you want to go that route to collect all 12 of them. That's going to be a relatively large initial expense, but it's better than $300 each cartridge, which is the retail price. You can buy them all over the place, but they're $300 each. Or just pay, I think it's like $15 per load, maybe a little less. I haven't checked lately. So that is the way to use the Pro 1000, Pro 1100, get the most out of it, the best possible quality output, OEM all the way. In this particular case, unlike the inks for the initial release of the Pro 100, which it had some deficiencies that I think they may have been aware of it at the point where they began to ship it, but later on, and I don't know, I have no idea whether they were spying on Precision Colors signature edition equivalent ink set for it, which was better. It did not have those deficiencies in the reds and in the cyans going toward the purples. They actually worked beautifully. And I also uploaded the comparison between OEM and Precision Color Signature Edition for the Pro 100. Look that up and take a look at it. Go back in time, folks. I'm really enjoying reloading this, actually, because it's going back in time and looking at things, ideas that we now ignore. Go back and watch those old videos, folks. Okay, please do so. Not only to help, but also to get reminded of what we were doing back in the day. And when I say back in the day, I'm only doing from the year 2019 up to today. Okay. I was doing that maybe 3 years, before that. But do take a look at that and see what we are talking about. This is what we were doing, say, 5-6 years ago, and what led us to what today is. So anyway, so that is it. You need the sensor system, and if you want to go OEM all the way, look on eBay, please. There's a lot of deals out there. I was kind of shocked when I saw those. All right, so take a look at those and get your ink. Basically, you could stock up on your ink. Is it going to go bad? No. Let me get one of those cartridges. I'll show you what you need to do. $700 ml worth. You drill a 5/32 of an inch hole here, 1 o'clock and 11 o'clock. That's it. Trim you're going to get a little ridge, trim it off, put a plug on it, This cartridge is ready to be decanted, emptied out on what? 750 ml bottle, okay? So this is what if I was to squeeze this, I would get ink coming out of there. So I wipe this with alcohol every time that I add ink to one of my cartridges. And it works beautifully. And I have not had any kind of issues with contamination or any of that. So that's how you do it. So if you're a little bit worried about that, you can buy these. These are 410 ml, I believe, 4 ounces. And just decant it as many as you can. Use a funnel, obviously. You're going to have 2 holes. You unplug one end, unplug the other end, and the ink will flow out on the funnel. Don't try to do it, yeah, directly. It's not going to work. You're going to spill ink everywhere. Use a funnel, and then you fill each bottle until near the top. Close it up. You don't have to have one of these caps. You buy these caps separately. Precision Colors has them. They allow you to have a tip attached to them. This is for filling these PG 29s for the Pro 1. So what I'm saying is that you need this cap with the needle attachment and then a regular cap to seal it. And you just go ahead and label them yourself and store them as you need. Ink, you just use ink from one of the smaller bottles. If you don't want to go, the whole route of a 750 ml bottle like I'm doing, it's just a lot more convenient for me. So that way you can do dudes and dudettes. You can print without any worries. Like I said, what was it? $12 per refill. Okay, and you're still using your OEM cartridge. This is working perfectly. You haven't really changed or messed around with any of the internal components. Which, by the way, what are the internal components? We'll discuss that next. Let's say howdy to everyone who is here patiently waiting for me to finish talking. Okay. We have with us Nigel Waters at 7:38 this morning, my time. He is in Wales, UK, Canon Pro 300 with all the trimmings. Welcome, my friend. As always, one of our regulars. Ron K, also a regular, Trenton, New Jersey, EPSON EcoTank 8550, QMH Ultimate Lifetime, Canon R7 Mark II, and Canon 7D. By the way, I got my my old heavy Nikon D90 and I believe I got a D300 as well. And I'm going to lend one of those to my grandson, 13 and a half boy, who is part of the, what would you call it, the stage crew for his school's drama club. So they're already getting ready for next spring's show. And he's going to do the photography. So I got to train him how to use my semi-professional, it'll look professional in front of other people, Nikon camera. I warned him that it's heavy and it's going to hurt his neck, but I have the big Nikon wide band on it, so it should be okay. So I got to teach him how to do settings and that sort of thing, because it's going to be working on a stage with stage lighting already set up. He's got to do the headshots for the program. He's got to do the photos during one of the dress rehearsals, so that they can then design and publish the booklet that they're going to be handing out to people. And we are so fortunate that so many local businesses are supporters of this. And so they actually put ads on the catalog that you hand out to people. It's really nice. I went to it the last several years and was very impressed by the not only the presentation, but also the quality of the acting as well as the quality of the program. So that's going to be fun. I'm very happy and thrilled to be part of that. I do that for my wife's old school, the grade school that she worked at for 30 years. I've been doing their plays now for like 20 plus years. So, all right. Enough from me. HZ, hello from the Netherlands in early autumn. Oh, to my deep grief and sadness, my beloved mother, passed away this week at almost 87. I'll probably not join the live stream for weeks to come. We'll watch fragments. Okay. Yeah, I hope everything is okay with your family, and I wish you all the best and prayers. All right. Thank you. Thank you for passing that on to us. Most people would not pass that information to us. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Fred Elias, Warren, Michigan, EcoTank 8550, Red River Papers, OEM Inks, Nikon D300. That's the one that I use mostly. That maybe I'll give them that one to use. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more compact, has a better sensor. QMH Ultimate and other goodies, home and friends and family printer. Hope your wife is doing well. Yes, she is. We just had, oh my God, this past week was Yeah, a little rough, but we're doing okay. Living with it. Harold Davies, my condolences to you about your mother, our sister. Yeah, I remember when your sister, youngest, passed away this week. I don't think we told anyone about that, but I was well aware. You kept me informed as to the situation, and I do appreciate that. And welcome back, my friend. Oh, and by the way, your last email where you told me about the possibility of, you know what? Yes, you are more than welcome. I would love to meet you face to face, as well as your two partners, your two photographic partners that you are well tied to. That would be fantastic. I don't think you've ever been to the district, so we could go sightseeing and you guys can go nuts photographing. There's a lot to see here, a lot of beautiful scenery. Photo Nikon 780 from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Canon Pro-1000, Ecotech 8550, XP 15000 OEM inks. I got to tell you what happened the other day with the XP 15000. I almost got rid of it. QMH Ultimate, and yeah, sorry for the loss to HC. So here's what happened. So we had some results, one of my wife's procedures, and I went to print the results to take over to the next doctor. And I heard crazy gear grinding. What is going on? And I couldn't figure out what it was. Then I remember, wait a minute, let me remove the front tray. Let me take a peek inside. And I found a piece of paper caught back there. Yeah. And even though that was there, I could still print, but the gear grinding was going crazy. And my wife was in the living room wondering what the heck that racket was. I took the duplexer. It has a duplexer in the back. And there is this complete sheet of paper jammed up. That's what it was. How that happened, I have no idea, because I had printed something earlier and everything was fine. Okay. I asked my wife, "Did you try printing something?" No, she said, "No, you're the guy. You're the one that printed last." I go, "Okay." I don't know what happened. So anyway, the proof was there, a jammed piece of paper. I almost took it out, and I was going to bring my G620 upstairs for her, which is wireless also. So weird. So anytime you, especially a printer like that with a duplexer in the back, uh, print front and back, um, you hear the gears. Take a look inside. Because if I open up the top, there's no way that I can see it. It was actually in the duplexer that where the paper was jammed up, so it was causing a gear to just skip like that. So crazy, crazy. Richard Bender, Hagerstown, Maryland, Nikon D300. And see, maybe I do have a good, maybe that camera is good. A lot of people have it. Ecotech 8550, EPSON 4180 scanner, QMH Ultimate DJI drone, Red River Canon, Epson, and HP Canson papers. Nice variety, my friend, and welcome back. Steve from Germantown. He's the new owner of my old R2000. I'm glad to see that it's still working without issues. How's your ink supply? The only thing about, I guess you can still get refillable cartridges. I had a bunch of them. I still have them. No, I don't. I think I tossed them out. Anyway, they have refillable cartridges in case, because I don't know how difficult it's going to be for you to find our 2000 inks in the future, but hopefully you have enough left. Why did I have so much OEM R2000 cartridges? Full sets. That was one of the favorite printers to basically turn into a direct-to-garment printer. So these Chinese groups were buying dozens of these printers and creating a round table type setup where you have multiple printers and printing t-shirts. You put it on a carrier, and after you modify the printer, you feed it from the front, and you have to use a titanium white ink to lay down the first image, and on top of that you print your color equivalent, and that way you can print on, like darker materials, all cotton based shirts and so forth. So yeah, they were buying those, and of course, because they have to use a special vinyl type ink, they didn't no longer have any use for the original cartridges, so they were selling those on eBay. I was paying as low as $5 per full set, and I think I spent like $200 and bought as many sets as I could possibly get. And then they sat here, and I used them as I went along until finally I decided, let me see if somebody would like to have this printer. It was working beautifully, and this young man came over to my house, and Steve, and I helped him out with some other project that we were working on, and then he purchased the printer from me, and so far so good. I'm so happy to hear that. Kevin Berniarski from Ellsworth, Wisconsin, Canon Pro-300, Epson EcoTank 8550 QMH Ultimate. Very good. Henry Stoffel from Medford, Massachusetts. Sunny and warm. Good to hear that. Epson P800, OEM inks, and QMH Ultimate. Harold Davies says, where are you buying your 700cc? This is, I just looked on Amazon. Actually, no, these are 500. So what I did was I still have the partially full. This is the regular magenta. Yeah, OEM magenta. I don't remember where I got them from. Just look for them on Amazon or eBay. There's tons of bottle sellers out there. But it works because I love the little spout like that. And I put a little needle tip on it, and I can just very cleanly top off my cartridges. I fill them up until they weigh about 100 grams, and then I very carefully add drop after drop until I reach about 112-ish. Up and down a couple of ml is fine. Ron K says, happy to see your grandson is getting into photography. Well, he goes into these phases. Right now he's playing soccer. Unfortunately, his team is brand new and they don't have a lot of experience. And the teams that he's playing against are just like really well trained. They really know how to play together. He had a loss 5-0 last Friday night. He was a little bit down, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I told him you're having a great time with your buddies, and win or lose, don't worry about it. You're burning off energy. You're eating better now, and at least you're hanging out with your friends instead of sitting at home in your basement in front of the computer playing games. So it's all good. But yeah, that's good. That's going to be fun. That's starting off. I think it's starting off before the end of the year. They're going to start rehearsals. And then, like I said, the thing is, a lot of the local businesses support them. They're getting free wireless microphones from God knows who. And the same company would not give it to our drama club in the grade school. They were fifth graders. This is mostly eighth graders doing this, seventh and eighth graders, because they were afraid that they would not be used safely. But, because these kids are older, I think they have a little bit better relationship with these businesses. So they really support them a lot. And of course, it's a private school. It's in the heart of Olney, Maryland, which is a pretty, community where they live. And so, but anyway, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm so happy that he's involved in all of these things. He's also doing ballroom dancing, and he came in second place last year. So again, I was like, what? Nathan, a ballroom dancer? Well, I had to go see it. And yeah, I'm a believer. Yeah. Yeah, he was good. What can I say? Of course, the girl was gorgeous too. So that helps. Emmanuel from Normandy, France, City of Ruin, Ecotank 8550, QMH1, Color Monkey. I have to tell you, Emmanuel, I have to tell you a story. So when we were in Belgium, this is 1980, 81, 82, 83. I was with the Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. So this is all the NATO countries, one base with a Supreme Allied Commander resides and basically rules from. And in Brussels, of course, is the headquarters for NATO. So there's something called tours and tickets. It was for the military. And they would provide you with all kinds of different tours that you can take because Belgium is in the center, geographic center of Western Europe. You could go pretty much anywhere within a couple of hours. So my wife was always looking at some of the offers that they had. For very little money, you can travel and go to France, go to Netherlands, go to, all over the place, Germany. And so even I think we went to, what's that little tiny country south of Belgium? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So she went to Normandy and she was received by, funny how everybody there that was there waiting for, I didn't get to go, I was working. So everyone that was there was in their 80s. They lived during the war. And so they were there during the war. And so they were greeted like royalty. These are all a bunch of wives and, a few husbands that didn't have to work that day. And they were treated to champagne and croissants. And just, they were taken on a tour. There's a couple of tanks still there, believe it or not. And so, yeah, my wife will never forget that. She'll never forget that. Her background is Cornish from England, of course. And her father is a son of a German immigrant, Western Germany, that came before the war to Milwaukee. Milwaukee has Polish, German, Swedish, Norwegian, and even Italian. Quite a beautiful city, very diverse. And so she loved to go to these places. And she came back. Her heart was so warm because they got treated so well by the French. And so luckily, well, no, unluckily, I should say, unluckily, unfortunately, cell phones were not around. So, and I forgot to give her a camera. I don't know what in the world I was thinking. So she could have come back with some pictures of that particular trip and the folks that met her there, met the group there. It was a busload of people. So, but they got, treated so well and so they were so wonderful. And they said, we love Americans. And wow, because during that time, like in cities like in Paris, that wasn't really, the younger population didn't really think too much of Americans back then. The British, yeah, they loved the British. But anyway, besides the point. Anyway, it was beautiful. And every time I see you here, I remember that trip from that my wife was able to take. So, and she'll never forget that either. I think they took some kids with them from the school. She was volunteering at the international school at SHAPE. SHAPE is the acronym for Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. Anyway, all right, let's continue on. So, what actually lives inside those cartridges? Let me show you, especially those 80 ml cartridges. They're totally different than the larger ones. So if you take a look at this, because somebody said, well, there's got to be some kind of sensor inside. And originally I thought that as well. Like, how the heck can it tell? So there must be some sort of simple measuring device internally in the cartridge to tell the printer, hey, I no longer have ink to feed you. No, there's nothing inside. Here are two holes. You see the two holes? Two ports. One of them delivers ink, allows ink to flow into the 2100, 4100, those larger printers that can handle something this large. And then the other hole allows air to enter inside. As ink is leaving, it would otherwise create a vacuum and it would lock up. So it allows air to vent, to enter the cartridge. And it also has a secondary function. There is a pipe from here internally. I've taken one apart. There's also a video that I'm going to be uploading as I continue updating the channel. So there's a pipe inside that goes all the way almost to the top. It's just about that diameter, okay? Maybe 1/4 inch diameter, maybe a little larger. And what it does, it aerates the ink that's inside the tank. So it has lots of little holes all around the outer periphery of that pipe. And as ink goes out, air gets in, and sometimes it'll bubble out like a little aerator. And so it agitates the ink and keeps that, because the cartridges don't move. So how are you going to keep the pigments suspended? So it aerates the ink. As long as you're printing, it is aerating the ink. And so that really helps. And so you might think, well, there's got to be more. No, that's it. So these cartridges are really just containers. That's all they are. Internally, there is no electronics, no measuring device of any sort. However, there are some external parts that basically play the job of allowing ink to enter. It's not something that you can, just this, what's the word, to uninstall. No, you have to break it. So if you take a look here, you see this unit right here? Here it is. Okay. I think it's better probably with the light off. So here it is right here. And this is just plastic. You see this was chrome optimized, or it's still a little bit sticky. So let me put this here. When you pop a cartridge in, the connector from the cartridge to the printer ink line, the entry point, is like a little, I don't know, like a little nozzle. And let me just take all these parts out. I hope I don't drop them. Here is the chip holder, and that's just floats outside. Here is the chip, and I already attached it. This is a chip that you can buy, so it's sort of illegal, so I don't recommend you continue using these. They're available from China, and simply they work like an OEM chip, and I don't know where they're getting the code from. Don't ask me. Okay. And a spring, and there's a little poppet valve. So the spring goes right here inside that hole, and then a little poppet valve goes in there, and that's gone. I don't know where that went. Oh, it's right here. I don't want to take it out because I'm sure that I'll lose it. There it is, right here. So that's all it is. This holder that you have to basically break off of the cartridge, then the spring and the poppet valve. That's it. So that is what allows ink, once the oh, come back here, you. When you install the cartridge, that's, I forget what to call it. It's a spigot, will push through the poppet valve, the spring. It seals itself against it, and that's it. The system now is open. Ink can just flow indiscriminately into your printer. Why does it not do that? How come you don't get a flood of ink? There's a valve right after that will be shut. It will be closed. So ink cannot get in. Now, how does it feed the internal compartment? I'm going to have to tell you this. How does it feed the internal compartment? So think of it. Let's imagine a miniature toilet bowl, that, especially the water tank, the old-fashioned type toilet bowl with a water tank and a floating um, thing inside. We're talking 1970s here. So ink comes in, fills that little compartment up. There's an upper sensor, there's a middle sensor, and there's a bottom sensor. So here are the functions. If the compartment was like half empty or 2/3 empty or whatever, I don't know the locations of these ports, okay, these sensors, I mean. But at some point it says, hey, I need ink. I'm not empty yet, but please, I need some ink. So what happens, that sensor, the second one, number 2, 1, 2, 3. Number 2 is exposed to air, and it triggers that inlet valve. Where's my cartridge? Right here. It's connected to that inlet port. That valve says, oh, I just received a signal. I am going to open myself up. Ink via gravity starts to flow. And it fills that sensor. It fills that compartment to the top. And guess what happens? That top sensor that was exposed to air now is covered with ink. And what does it do? It says, hey, shut down. I got enough ink. Don't overflow me. Why you don't want to be overflowed? Because that compartment is open to the atmosphere. You'll get a leak all over your table. So that sensor is hit by the liquid. It shuts the valve. No more ink can enter. Okay, now we're going to print. So I print something, and if that happens to be a color that I need to use for my print, the levels will begin to drop. If I only used a fraction of that, nothing happens. Continue printing, print after print, and then finally, that second sensor is triggered again. Open up the valve. Thank you. Trickle of ink fills it back up to the top. Oh, the upper sensor is triggered. Shut the valve. Shuts it. There. So as long as that is working properly, you get a continuous refurbishing or replenishing, I should say, of that ink, whether it's yellow, magenta, cyan, chrome optimizer, whatever it is. It's constantly being replenished. Hits the top, valve shuts down. Reaches down to the second sensor, valve opens up. Ink comes in, rises back up, hits the upper sensor, valve is shut down. This continually happens probably thousands of times. At some point, I don't know how much ink actually has to flow to fill that compartment, okay? I don't have that information available. So however many cycles it takes, at some point, this baby only has a tiny amount of ink in it. The printer doesn't know it yet, but it knows that, say I'm not using a sensor. It knows that originally it had 80. So now it knows it used up 60 because it's actually counting every milliliter of ink that has been used to replenish that compartment. Every single time it replenishes that compartment, it's the same amount of ink, same volume. So it knows exactly how many times that volume of ink, the secret volume of ink. And it knows that now it's down to 60 less ml, low warning, exclamation mark, yellow. Now it knows it has 20 left. So right about, 19 ml have passed through. It knows it's time. So the next time it needs ink, meaning the second sensor is triggered, opens up the valve, only 1 ml of ink comes in, or whatever is left. And it doesn't quite refill that compartment back up to trigger the upper sensor. That valve stays open. It didn't trigger the upper sensor, so the valve stays open. You continue to print. And it's doing that in case the internal walls have a few droplets of ink, whatever, and it's going to eventually drain off, okay? But not enough to reach to the top. So now you're printing and the levels drop below the second sensor. That's the first time ever that happens. The levels drop below the second sensor and it triggers the third sensor. That's a red X sensor right there. Once that happens, red X, that cartridge now is empty and the chip is declared empty. It will look like this, a red X on your screen, on your printer. That's it. It's simple, but absolutely, it works beautifully. And every printer after that has been using the same system as the early version. I don't know whether earlier versions also utilize. I believe that they might have used that system. Okay. So yeah, wonderful. Now let's talk about, so what if I want to not use OEM chips? What if I want to refill? I'm buying 700 ml cartridges. I'm still using, don't get mad at me, Canon, I'm still using your inks. They'll still get mad at you because they want you to use these little ones, $60 each. So they're gonna still frown, but they'll be not so angry at you. So you're refilling with OEM inks, but now you're tired of buying these illegal chips. So I've heard about this disabling of chips. How do I go about doing that? Well, with this, it's a little bit different than, say, a Pro-200 with a sponge cartridge. That's opaque. You can't see through it. What you do is when you make that decision that you want to go from using individual OEM cartridges, as they are empty, you toss them out and you replace them. You want to reuse those cartridges. You don't want these plastic tanks to end up in a landfill for a million years and they're still in the same shape as they were a million years ago. They do not degrade, okay? This is not biodegradable. So you want to utilize your original cartridges. So you're going to drill it out. Even if it has ink in it, don't worry about it. The chips will be pulled out by the drill. The drill has a reverse helix. It pulls the chips out, okay? Even if you happen to get one little bit of a chip inside, it's going to float. It's not going to go into the port. It's going to be floating. And you never let this cartridge from now on to go empty anyway. So you're going to drill the hole. And if you already have inks, top it off, weigh it, make sure it weighs 112 grams or 110 is good enough. Put the plug on it, put it back in. Whatever level it was at, it will continue to stay at that level. Remember, you still have a usable chip. So levels will begin to drop. If it reaches low, quickly top it off again, back up to full. And remember how I explained what's happening internally? When it reaches low, it says, I must have 20 ml left because I reached low. I already counted and I used 60 ml. So I have to have 20 ml left. You don't. You have like 70 ml left. Shh, don't tell the printer. Continue printing. It will then continue to use ink. And golly, like Gomer Pyle used to say, I'm using all this ink and I still have ink. I'm still being fed ink. My ink compartment is continually refilling itself. How is this possible? Yeah. So you continue adding ink to your cartridge, and at some point it's just going to say, I've already used 30 ml more. I should have been emptied 10 ml of ink ago. That's it. 1753 error. 1753 will be displayed on your screen on your printer. Don't have a heart attack. Is nothing. You just hold the second button, power button, and then the one below that, hold it for 5 seconds, or as long as it takes for the words processing to come across that screen. Once that is done, it will stop, and that channel now on your screen, it will be declared as like a whole magenta line. On your computer, it will just be blank. Okay, so now you know that chip is disabled, and you just continue on until all the other 11 chips are disabled. Then you can begin. By that point, you probably are done, and you've been refilling constantly. And at that point, you need some sort of help to tell you. You no longer have any warnings as to how much ink you really have. So you need the sensors, really, unless you want to create some sort of refilling or topping off schedule where every 2 months you weigh each cartridge and add the amount of ink required to get it back up to 112 grams. I'd rather have the sensors turning me. That little white light on my face nagging me all day, I know that that yellow cartridge needs to be topped off. That's all there is to it. And just think, even though the Pro 1000 has been demonized by tons of people as to being such an ink waster, mine is not an ink waster, folks. Upgrade the firmware. Okay? Don't be afraid. In this case, you can indeed upgrade the firmware. I haven't printed on it since last week. Last night, I did a nozzle check. It did its agitation cycle like it normally would do. It did a quick little preliminary refill, not refill, but cleaning cycle. It did a couple of more little things, and within a couple of minutes, it started printing my nozzle check, and it was perfect. So yeah, upgrade that firmware. That's a secret to not have a wasteful Pro 1000, or in the case of the 1100, I don't think it even, I think they actually upgraded it to the point where it's no longer such an ink waster as it had been known in the past. That's lemon water, by the way. Okay, so let me see what in Ron K says, happy to see your grandson is getting into photography. My first camera was a Nikon N80 film camera. I don't recall that one. I had a nice F2 back in the Vietnam days, and that was the camera we all of us photographers used back in those days in the Army. And also Leica 3 something. It wasn't the M series yet. I began using the M series when I was with the Special Forces, and we were flying helicopters everywhere and taking, we needed something lightweight and good quality. And of course, I told Emmanuel about my wife's wonderful trip. And let me tell you, we could also go to Paris for like $10. And of course, you spend money there, but the exchange rate was quite good, quite favorable. So we had a blast. I mean, it was wonderful. Then on the way back, I could have extended my stay with the Supreme headquarters. So there's something called, so that would be Central Europe. So there was Armed Forces North, which was in Norway, Oslo, Norway. I thought, 3 years there, 6 month long, nights and day, that would mess me up. Then the other choice was Armed Forces South, which was in Naples, Italy. I didn't hear very good things about the area around the military base there, so I thought I had another offer to go to the Pentagon, to the Audiovisual Center for the Army, and so we took the Pentagon, came back to Virginia, and that was the end of it. I actually went after that to Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, and I did my last 6 years there. and retired, and then took a job. Like the next day, I went back to work as a civilian contractor. And then about 23 years later, I retired because my daughter says, I'm pregnant. Oh, I'm going to be a grandpa. Okay, I'm retiring. Richard Bender says, interesting, Ron K. My first camera was a 1940 Kodak Brownie that I received as a birthday present in 1940. My dad bought me a little plastic 127 size roll film camera, probably 1958, right about there. And I loved it. This must be my son. I think he's coming over today. We're making dinner and he's gonna dine with us. How often would you print on a Canon Pro 1000 now with a new firmware? You don't have to do it daily anymore. I would say if you have QImage and you want to use that tool that they have for you to schedule a so-called unclog tool, unclog image, it's just a series of the colors that you have available. And you can do that every three days or so, and just do half a page. It'll keep it happy, and you won't have to worry about any kind of clogging at all. Okay, there was a day, if you started off in printing, I don't care how old you are, but if you started off in printing only like 5 years ago or so, or 10 years ago, you were already using chips. But at one time, no such thing as chips. So the earliest type of weird cartridge was something like this, as you can see. So this is a thermal cartridge. Do these printers have print heads? No, they do not. No such thing as a print head. It's built into the cartridge. Okay. Just like this is a print head holder. The print head sits on top, and those are your vertical channels, nozzle channels. These cartridges had magenta, yellow, cyan compartments in them. Okay, this is the print head. That little ribbon right there. This is what connects to the printer, communicates with the printer, those little yellow dots, metallic, and this is your print head. So unfortunately, because they are sponge type cartridges, the way that they work is that, and you know very well that you don't use exactly the same equal amounts of yellow, magenta, cyan. You also had a black one, by the way. So 2 cartridge system. This is Lexmark, okay, was very popular with many printer models, especially that particular brand of printer. So you just printed until the printer said, your driver said, hey, I think I ran out of ink. Well, you probably did not. So what would happen was, if you were to have looked at the ink levels, the guessing, how much ink do we think we have in each channel, you would find them to be at different levels. The cartridge goes empty when any of those 3 colors reaches, by guesswork, empty. Okay, it cannot go empty, because if it goes fully empty, you'll burn out the little print head. So a lot of people were refilling these back in the early days. If I had taken this empty one, okay, it was declared empty, take it out, put it back in without doing anything to it, the driver would ask me, hey, did you replace the cartridge with a new one? Or is this the same cartridge? If I said I replaced it with a new one, all ink levels would be reset to full. It was done at the driver. Nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with it. So that's the way it was. So what we could do with a razor blade, very carefully, pry open this little lid right here, and then you would see internally, you would see the 3 compartments. You take a syringe with universal dye ink back in those days, inject maybe 3 ml, that's all I had, like 3 ml of ink, into that sponge. You would see the sponge saturate. Don't contaminate them. Okay, so don't add too much ink. And then another clean needle with magenta. So yellow, magenta, and then cyan. And just add the same amount, because the sponges would be, some would be emptier than others. You have to be very carefully very careful how much ink you add. So you would visually look at it and just look at the saturation. How wet is my sponge getting? In other words, visually. And don't go overflowing, too much ink. And then you put the lid back on it, maybe tape it, and that's it. Put it back into your printer. Tell the printer that, yeah, I installed a new cartridge. Please reset all the values back up to full. Here's what the problem was. This is thermal, and you only get like maybe 1.5 to 2 cycles with this. Usually by the time any of those cartridge compartments was declared empty by guesswork, that channel was already almost burnt out. Okay. Yeah. Nozzle checks, they didn't exist. They didn't really exist. The way you tested it, you notice that it's vertical, right? So you have a magenta, yellow, and cyan vertical. You fill it up, you take a little piece of tissue, and you run it across. And you would see a streak of yellow, a streak of magenta, a streak of cyan. That's it. That's how you nozzle check it. Well, early versions of these cartridges here, this is a CLI-8. So this will be for your Canon 9000 series and others. No chip either. So the way that the printer identified him, I don't remember exactly how it knew that you had inserted a cartridge into the printhead itself. And so I recall that they look just like this: liquid chamber, sponge chamber. And I forgot what model did I have. It was terrible. It made the grainiest looking prints you've ever seen. And I mean, dots everywhere instead of, yeah, in other words, you saw the dots per inch, something like 60 dots per inch. You could see the dots even after mixing the print engine, attempting to blend them into a smooth tonality. No such thing. You saw the dots. He was looking at an early 1950s magazine, a fashion magazine. You saw the ink dots. So I thought to myself, now, wait a minute. Can I just drill a hole and add ink to that compartment? This universal ink that I see everywhere? Yeah. And somehow, again, you remove it, you wait until it's declared empty, just keep topping it off. And when it's empty by the driver, not before, you got to wait until it was declared empty, take it out, and somehow it knew that you have replaced it. And again, it would ask you, did you replace it? Yes. Full. Well, you can imagine how rampant it became refilling cartridges, especially these super easy Canon cartridges. You can just drill a hole. We were using aluminum tape, the kind that you use for ductwork. And yeah, getting away with it. The results compared to today, horrendous. But it looked, an apple looked reddish, a tree looked greenish. And that's all we were happy with at that point. So enter chips. So the chips basically was supposedly to make sure that you don't accidentally empty a cartridge and burn out your printer. So the chip would reach empty long before the cartridge lost all of its ink. Well, that meant that you have to have a minimal amount of ink left in one of these sponge cartridges. That's all that was being used. So this was pulled out when it was declared empty. Notice this is completely dried up. This is a CLI-42 yellow. So this has to be flushed with a pretty high percentage ammonia solution. like Windex with extra ammonia would clean this up. Maybe PSO flush from inkjet mall as well. So how much ink was actually here before it completely dried up? Probably, if I was to extract every molecule of it from that sponge, maybe 3 ml. So 3 ml apparently is enough to not keep that printhead from frying. In other words, the channel, the yellow channel. So you remove the cartridge and you replace it with a new one. Well, now that chip on the new one, oh, it had been coded. It had a written code on it that said, not only did it say, hey, I'm yellow, not magenta, I'm yellow, and I am full. So the yellow identification was a permanent code, could not be reprogrammed or rewritten over. So I couldn't change it to a magenta. It's always going to be yellow and a unique one. No one else, no other yellow chip in the universe has the same code. But the level code was a rewritable code. It's a read and write code. The ID, the yellow ID is only read only. So someone in China said, oh, we can create a resetter that will reset that level back up to full. Hey, folks, why don't you just drill a hole here, which Jose hasn't done yet. Drill a hole here, make it fit a plug, and you can just top that off with whatever inks are available and just use my resetter. Before you do the ink refill, just reset the chip. It's going to leave the ID alone because it can't do anything about it anyway. So it's just going to raise the level to full. Okay, and top it off, put the plug on it, put it back in the printer. The printer reads that chip and says, welcome back, yellow cartridge. You're the same yellow cartridge that Mr. Joe just took off of me 2 minutes ago. How can it be the same cartridge? And now I know I declared it empty. You're full. Oh, that's fine. I don't care. Continue printing. So that was the early chips of that era. They allowed you to refill and did not care that they were seeing the same chip. Could care less. And that continued on until the point where newer Canon printers like the Pro-1 came out. So the Pro-100, the Pro-10 came out. We can reset those chips. The resetter companies were able to decipher the code system algorithm. I don't care what the programming, and they created resetters that you can use to reset those chips. I don't have any here, but anyway, so enter the Pro-1. Oh boy. So they did something different to that chip. It was non-resettable. You could not reset it. Believe me, the companies tried to create a resetter for it. Total failure. And the Pro-1, although it was a wonderful printer, 12 cartridges, rather odd ones. They look like this. Okay. 29 ml of ink, I believe. So pretty good. Ink hogs, I mean, they were terrible. You would go through cartridges like there was no tomorrow. And cleaning cycles every time you looked at the printer the wrong way. And it was also a pressurized printer, the first attempt of that. And it failed. It just didn't really make it. I went through 5 different printheads. I have the last one in a plastic bag because it exploded, literally. I have one printhead on my current one. I have 2 of them, 2 Pro-1s. I haven't turned them on. I think they all have B200 errors at this point. So we'll just leave them alone. I'll have to dispose of them at some point. I'm trying to get the energy to, begin the process of cleaning up my back room. Please, I don't want any visitors until I do that, until I get that back room straightened out a little bit better. So what to do? So Canon came out with the Pro-1000, and that replaced the Pro-1 They added blue ink, took away one of the grays. The Pro 1 had 3 grays, which made it amazing for black and white printing, and just gave your prints, especially prints on like matte artist type papers, oh, glorious. But it was a dog as far as every so often, for no fault, it would, B200 error, or you would have to do a cleaning cycle that you didn't want to do anyway. It would do it on its own. Oh, I just ran out of this ink and now I replaced it. Oh, I just ran out of the other cartridge, because it does a cleaning every time you change a cartridge. Didn't have to. It was a stationary cartridge printer. Shouldn't have to do that, but it did initially. Anyway, so Pro 1 comes out. Again, you cannot reset those chips. Now, could you have possibly disabled the Pro 1000 chips? More than likely, yes. Yeah, and then if you were really sneaky, you could go ahead and just refill them. They could be refilled directly using this port right here. Stick it into the outer right here, and then squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go. You got to be careful. You don't want to overinflate that internal bag. There's a bag inside. In fact, I think I have, yeah, here we go. So that's the back. I took the outside cover. This is Mylar. This seals that internal compartment so air can get in and pressurize this bag, and ink can then flow into the system through the ink lines. This is Chrome Optimizer, empty. So you would put that port directly here and squeeze, and squeeze, and squeeze. And it would refill that. You have to be careful because you could possibly get ink inside that compartment. There was a possibility that you would have ink. You have to seal that perfectly into that port, because the port acts in 2 ways. It acts as a not only a vent also, but a refill entry point for your cartridge. And it's not supposed to be for refilling anyway. You're not supposed to do that anyway. As this is what they tell you. Oh, you have a problem? Well, too bad. That's because you were trying to refill your cartridge, and you're not supposed to do that. They'll always say that, but they allow you to. See, Canon hasn't completely locked the doors against you refilling like EPSON has with the P800, which was the last printer that a chipless firmware was able to be developed for. So China immediately made refillable cartridges, which are very similar to these here. Similar to these internal compartments. Just add ink, prime it, and that's it. It's got a chip, and it doesn't need the chip except for color identity, and it just stays constantly 100% full. And you just open up the door and look at the levels, add ink as needed. Simple. The P900, no. Only OEM, except in Europe. Europe has different laws. So here we are locked. There you're wide open to use refillable cartridge, which of course the Chinese already developed and are selling to the European users of P700, P900 users over there. And even the P800, I believe, as well. So it's just here that we are locked to it. Okay. Enough talking about printers. Please, Joe, stop. Let's mount a photograph. Yeah, let's do that. Let me take this away. Put it here. We're going to mount that photo. Let me put this back in the back for safety. Let's see what this is going to look like on a nice little frame from Amazon. And then we're going to mount the picture. One last aluminum print right here. And then we'll end it. We'll end it a little bit early because I think Jeremy's on his way here. We'll answer questions. If you have any more, please add them up right now to the chat. We're going to take this cover off. I just ordered some more frames. Fortunately, I made a little bit of money to one of the affiliates, so I'm able to buy a few more frames. These are going to be, I believe I got the 12-inch frames, 12 by 12. So let's go ahead and put that. I need to move this out of the way here. Carefully. Trash. Tomorrow's trash day, so all of this is going out. All right. So let's flip this over. I am going to, remember I said I don't like using the plexiglass cover. This is just a plastic, not really expensive. The ones that I have that are, they're over there. They are 8 by 12. They're wood. It really looks nice. And I got to refine those because I want to order some more of those. So we just flipped all of the little snaps to the side to unlock them. Got to remember where the hanging little bits of hardware are located. So this will be, if I'm going to go horizontal, I have to orient it this way. Vertical, I have to orient it this way. Sometimes I'll flip the photograph in the wrong direction, and then I have to redo it all over again. Okay, so I am going to remove the plexiglass. If you know, in my miniature work, I could use this stuff. So I am going to put this aside here for now. I'm going to lay down the mat. I'm going to add the photograph in the right orientation this way. I'm going to add the plexiglass. I wish this was thicker. Add the little paper covering. I just need to add some thickness to this. I wish I had something else, but if I order any material like that, it'll just add to the expense. And I haven't looked yet, but I hope that I did not cover the signature. The written information that I added. Yeah, it covered it. Shucks. So what I got to do is I have to, so the information's right here, and the mat is covering it. But it looks great. I don't want any kind of glass or plexiglass over this surface. This looks really wonderful. Anyway, too bad. So not quite what I was expecting. What I would need to do then is just print it with a lesser wide border and just write the info on the picture itself as well, but also on the mat, and double sign it, in other words. Too bad. I was hoping that was not going to be the case, but again, I just got these the other day and I had not tested them. It's amazing that the black border just about, yeah, and there's a little bit of play also, so this is not entirely centered correctly. So let me see if I can improve on that a little bit. But yeah, this would have to be printed again. What time do we have? 1:35. So this border on this print, 3/4 inch border, happens to match the width of the mat, which is also 3/4 inch wide. So that's the problem. So either I would print it with a wider border, and I think this was what happened with the other print anyway. So, or just make a narrower border and just live with it. But I think I'll use like a 1-inch border, maybe a little bit more than 1 inch. That's what I decided to use. And so why don't we just go ahead and print something else and mount it. I'm not gonna spray it because I have to do that in the other room. She doesn't like the smell. So I am going to go ahead, just fire up Q image. Get that on. We're going to print. I have some images already set up. We're just going to do one. I don't think I have time for too many more. We are going to print the 12 by 18. Might as well go hog wild here. And make sure that I don't have any of that binding glue there. I'm going to go ahead and counter curl this a bit at the entry point. This is super thick and stiff. And again, if you recall last week, we had a bit of an issue. Hopefully that should not be the case today. Okie doke. Alrighty, so we're gonna go to the, I think I was using the 1400 before. So we're gonna go ahead and click on the printer. It's gonna render out whatever I have here. I'm gonna choose the 8550. And we're going to choose 12. Do I have already set up? No, I don't. So we got to do a 12 by 18. So let's go ahead and, so 12 there and then 18 here. And we're going to use Velvet Fine Art. Click on that. And I want a 1/4, an inch 0.1. Or maybe, yeah, that 1.25 inches. That'll give me quite a border so you can see my signature. That will not interfere with the existing mat on the frame itself. Of course, I could frame it without the mat, but I like that 3-dimensional look that the mat gives you. And let's see now, we have to look in here, open up a folder that I have on my desktop. Or better yet, no, here we go. Better yet, I already saved a job. And it is the Red Riding Hood and, oh, okay, so that's 12 by 12. That's not it. Huh. I guess I did not save one. Okay. I had it set up for other photos. We were going to do some square photos. So did I have it already saved? No, I don't think so. So file and open folder. Let's look at my desktop. Here we go. So I have this already set to the correct folder. This is going to be, oh shoot, I just remember something. Remember the problem we had last week? Yeah, I cannot use any of these photographs. I have to go back and use, gosh, where is that folder located? See, that's the problem. I'm going to have to look at the Photos drive. Do I have anything with 12 by 18 here? I don't think I do. And I forgot how to do the trick that Mike showed us last time. Oh, well. Shucks. Let me look at my photos. Got to look at my computer. Oh, come on. Let me close that. I'm gonna have to search for it myself. I think it's up in the cloud somewhere. Jeez. That's not it. Let's look at this. Photos, hard drive, photos. We have some nice rectangular photographs here that we can use. Okay. We'll do this sunset right there. Boom. And in this case, I want to have a border. I want to have a score, in other words, because that'll look good inside the mat. That's 1/2 inch. We'll put a score on that. I have to redo my borders again. And boom. And then I want to make sure that I have good exposure, sharpening, all of that. Yep, it's fine. You don't have to see that. It looks like this. Okay. And we'll go ahead and print it. I just want to quickly print this because I think my son is on his way here. All right, so that looks perfect. Let's go ahead and print it. Boom. So let it load. Then I'm going to babysit that because I want it to come out. I want it to enter and be grabbed by the rollers without rejecting it. Otherwise, I'll have to redo the loading. Meanwhile, let's see. We have Photonicon 780. How often? Okay, you did that already. Sorry. With the new firmware, it looks like daily is no longer required. Yeah. Just make sure you do that. You can also, in the screen, you can also adjust the how heavy of a cleaning cycle, because it's going to have to do a cleaning cycle. You haven't printed for a week. It's going to do a cleaning cycle. But is it overdoing it? In other words, is it wasting more ink than it really needs to? Even though it might not even need to, it's going to do it. So I know there's a way to reduce that as well. So we're at 62. And this should really fit perfectly. I have my marker here. And this is not AI. This is going to be a real photograph. I should really use a pencil, but this is not going in any kind of a gallery or any of the sort. So this is just staying with us. 91%. By the way, the profile is the Strathmore linen profile. If you are in the Facebook group, you can have access to it. Okay, it's printing normally. Not like it did last week where it was taking forever. You really have to push down and it will stop. If you don't push down, if you think, oh, I'm pushing too hard, don't worry. You push, it's got an issue grabbing that front edge. It really almost cannot. So you have to really be a little bit too forceful. It'll reach to the point where it stops and then it begins to print. You can see it moving. An eighth of an inch every pass, just about. So once that is done printing, I'll go ahead and sign it. I forget where this was. I'll call it Lighthouse Sunset. It doesn't look like one of my photographs because this looks like it's out. Oh, I'm sorry. This looks like it's out of the country somewhere. And so obviously I got this from some other person who gave it to me for printing. So we'll just call it Lighthouse or Sunset at the Lighthouse. And then I don't know when it was shot, so I'll leave it at that. And I'm just going to put my JFR in today's date, which is the 21st of September. And this coming Friday is this old man's birthday. So maybe we'll do a little bit of a quick stream, maybe that Friday. I'll celebrate with you guys, anyone who wants to join me. It'll be nighttime in Europe, so I don't know if I really will do that, but we'll see what kind of mood I'm in. So it'll be impromptu. So if you're around, then fine, join me. If you're not, I'll announce it on Facebook if I decide to do that or not. Even if we get a handful of people, we'll just celebrate together, and it'll be my 76th birthday. So it's coming out perfectly fine. I think this border is going to be perfect. I know that I did. Let me show you some other things that I was doing. I was going to do some 12 by 12s. These here. I don't know if it's, no. I don't want to save it. I want to open it. Silly. Here we go. I think it's not going to be able to find the photos because I moved them. Let's see. Try to locate missing files now. Yeah. They are on my desktop. Silly. Let me see if it'll work. Nope. They're there. Oh no, anyway. It was going to be 12 by 12 with a border around it. and definitely not on the 1430. So that's weird. Oh well. How's this coming along? Beautiful. I'm just going to do a quickie mount, and then later on I'm going to spray it, let it dry, because that adds a little bit of a really nice effect to it. Oh yeah, awesome. That's going to be a beauty, a beauty. Trying to figure out what the heck happened here. Close that up, start it up again. I need Mike to come on board, and I'm going to show him all the things that I'm doing wrong, and then he can correct me on the spot. He can give me a lesson, because there are some things that are not behaving the same way as they were in the past. Let's look at the automated log and see if we can locate some previous jobs. And I want to show you what that looks like. You can just go back in time and pull up any job that you may have set up and printed. It's working right now. It's working hard trying to find it. Here we go. So, oh, are we done? No, not yet. So here's the one we just did right there. And these are because somehow the cloud moved my files. There we go. That's the one we did a while ago. Good Lord. There's my grandma. There's the farmhouse. AI generated. So all of those files have been moved by the wonderful i1 cloud. Anyway. Okay. No problem. For the Nikon 780, I have a QMH running on an old Windows tablet using the unclog tool. Will change to every 3 days. Yeah, I think that's enough. And just do half a sheet. There's an option for a full sheet or half a sheet. You know, the idea of a wider than most people are used to. A lot of people love borderless, which I think is horrific for art, especially if you're using a real mat that has been angle cut. No borderless. Please don't. Look at that. And this is going to be sprayed. But first, I'm going to sign it. So this is going to be Lighthouse Sunset. And over here, maybe move this bottle of water out of the way. KFR 9/21 2025. Right up by the edge. I want it to not be blocked at all. So bottle of water comes over here. The frame goes back on the side table. This is going to be, print has to be oriented correctly. Take that off. Position the print like so. Make sure that it looks correct, and it does. I could get away with a slightly narrower border, even if I wanted to. Let's put the plexiglass in there as well. A little bit more support. Where did I put it at? Anyone remember where I put that? Right here. Make sure that it is centered. Good. Now these little frames, they go for like maybe $6, $7 each. And you can buy them in lots of 4, 6, 8, sometimes even more. I'm getting 9 12 by 12s tomorrow, or today actually. Yeah, today is coming. So let's turn the light on. Too bad the mat is not a little bit thicker. That would really make it look great. And there you go. So this is, normally I don't do this. I usually never really frame stuff, but lately I've been doing it, and it really has got me my juices flowing. Okay, it really looks good. The other print I'm going to still mount, but I'm just going to leave the mat out. That way I'll have the original print without any kind of a blockage of my signature line, because I did create that image. It's almost 2 o'clock. Let's go ahead and quickly mount this last aluminum print. And again, I got, where did I put it? Did I put it here? I know I moved it. Yeah, right here. So I think I need, no, I'm good with paper. But this is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna, this bottom one is already mounted. It's a very simple mount method. MDF back with my card and a attached flapper type hanging system. This is very lightweight, so you don't really need like super duper, rigid type mount. You don't. So I'm going to line up my notebook here. I'm going to put my little gauge right here. I already have the center point figured out. So now I just have to add some glue. And I want to do it on the glossier part of this MDF. That seems to be this side. Otherwise, what happens is the glue tries to absorb itself a little bit too much into the wood before it can actually stick and, cure itself against the metal. The metal will not absorb wood, the glue, obviously, but definitely the MDF can. So you want to have like that much. And you're going to go through this like no tomorrow. So just a warning. Put this over here. And I have a little mark that I made right here. You can't see it, but it's right there. That is the central point. And that gauge that I put there aligns it perfectly with the top edge. So I still have a little bit of wiggle room. So now that I located it, I'm going to press down, give it a little bit of time. Make sure that it is attached. This takes a couple of minutes to actually cure, to fully attach. It's not like the liquid stuff that I was using. So you have it like that. And that's going to take, I can still smell it. That's going to take a bit of time to fully cure. So while it's doing that, I'm going to prep my little hanger. And I got different sizes. I don't think I need the big giant ones. We'll use one of these right here. And I have the mark for center right there. So it's going to be just a matter of peeling it off and centering it. This has, you can move this left and right a little bit to take into account any errors. So I'm going to center it as well as I can, like so. And then I'm going to use this little point to align it with that central mark. I want it off center, more toward the top. So I want to make sure before I do anything that this is oriented correctly. And of course it is not. And I have to flip it over. Now I'm going to have to mark that area again, the central point. I'm going to use this piece of square paper. Right there. Put my mark. Now all you need is a tiny little mark just to tell you right side up, and align that with the central point. And line up that little white hanger as close as you can so that it looks centered. In other words, level. Like so. So now below that, I'm going to add this. So I will need some glue. Not too much, just a little bit around the edges. You don't want to get it so that it seeps out. That's enough. These are old business cards that I'm not going to really be using. So we'll use them as a advertisement for the back of the prints. Even though these are going to stay here, I still want to do the whole job. Wipe the tip of my dispenser here. That's the only problem, that it gets all clogged up with crazy glue. You got to constantly clean it. Make sure you're careful. Don't get it on your fingers. And here we go. It is all done. Now, if there are any kind of marks anywhere, either in the front or the back, I'm using my wife's little makeup little discs, and I buy this non-acetone nail polish remover. It's actually pretty good. It's not as stinky as real acetone. It works quite well, removing all sorts of marks, and I just go over it. Just because this sublimation material is supposed to be, unused, it is not blemish free in the back. There's quite a bit of what should not be there. In other words, it looks like people were dealing it. Now you got to be careful. This really is, it falls apart. This makeup stuff, the little pads. And because of the burrs that are on this, gosh, yeah. So I'm going to have to sand this. Do I have my sanding board here? And then you can go over it with a paper towel, a soft paper towel. And that'll remove any kind of a okay. Very good. I like the way that came out. One down, another one down, in other words. So I am going to be probably mounting some more of these on my stairs. If someone comes to visit me, and I think Mike Lee may come down this fall and visit me. Maybe we'll do a live stream when he's here with us. But back in the stairwell right there, I'm going to be mounting the rest of my prints. All right, I think that's going to be it. So hope everyone enjoyed this. Again, some Sundays I just got to stop earlier than normal. Normally we can go till like 3 o'clock. But today is not one of those days. My son is coming over, and sometimes he just doesn't want to come. Getting him out of the house is a little bit. You have to here, smell this carrot, and yeah. So we are making stuffed pork chops, which we buy at a local butcher here, and they are absolutely wonderful, with some potatoes, some carrots, all in the oven. A one place meal, and he loves it. So we called him last night and told him, hey, Jeremy, if we pick up these pork chops, would you come over? And he said yes. What time? So yeah, so that's good. That means that and I think that was him that called earlier. So let me get ready with a slideshow. Again, don't forget to continue watching the uploaded videos as I upload them 5 a day, starting at 12 o'clock noon. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be almost done. Okay, I'm hoping. Maybe by January, end of January, if I had to slow down for whatever the reason. But yeah, it's gonna be okay. I needed 4,000 watch hours. I already have 1,100. So, and that is within a whole year. And I need some more subscribers, folks. I need to reach 1,000. I have 300 and almost 60 at this point. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Tell people that our printers. Bring them over to our channel, and get them to join us. and we'll get this set up before we even can remember what happened. Okay, so that's the whole idea, to get this to the point where we've reached the minimum requirements, and that's it. Then we can start all over again and continue on. All we have to do at that point is just simply continue producing up-to-date videos, and I will be doing this like every week. Okay, so live streams on Sundays, and then regular videos on a weekday, a determined weekday. And I think QMH loves to have a very consistent upload regimen. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Thank you again a million times. Thank you. And continue to support us. Let me see. Wait a minute. Anything new? If not, then we will see you all next week. Thank you again for everything. Bye-bye, everybody. And we'll play the slides. Let me see here. And go.